a year last October, I lost my very best friend of 25 years, Crystal. And we had a very unique relationship, very, very connected at a soul level, and I'm sure, certain that if there is such a thing as past lives, we've had many past lives together. Because she could finish my sentences, I could finish hers, and we would often kind of tune in. I'd think, oh, Crystal, phone me, and the phone would ring, and vice versa. So we had a very deep connection. Well, obviously when she died, it was a huge hole in my heart, my life, my beingness. It was just really hard to have life without Crystal. She played a very big role, especially with the retreat center here, the Vision of Xenia. Losing my daughter's father when she was 5, Crystal was very, very involved in helping Sarah, my daughter, to learn to drive or learn to ski or, you know, swim, cook, bake. She did a lot of things like that. And just recently, you know, I was wondering, it's like, okay, Crystal died. I was wondering, well, I wonder if she can reach to me. I wonder if she's, where is she? What is she doing? And so, you know, going through that first year of grieving, but there was always a sense of, I know she can communicate with me, but how? So anyway, I let it go, got on with life, busy. Was on a trip. I came back from my trip and I noticed, I flicked on my TV and I have one of these, what do they call them where you record?
PVR.
PVR. I have a PVR, and so I like to record my favorite shows and play them whenever I can. So I came home and I noticed Rachael Ray had been recorded. And I'm like, strange. I don't record Rachael Ray. Weird. Anyway, so happened again the next week. So I asked Deanne, Crystal's sister, and I asked the people that were here at the retreat center, did anybody, you know, book Rachael Ray? Rachael Ray's a great cook, and Crystal had all of her cookbooks and watched her. It was one of her things that she loved. So I'm kind of getting a bit like, how come Rachael Ray keeps getting booked? Anyway, so I let it go. The third time it happened, I immediately said, Crystal, stop playing with my technology. So it was so funny. I just had this thought, Crystal's booking her. Anyway, shortly thereafter, it was actually a couple of days later, I was flicking through TV and Top Gun was on with Tom Cruise. And I watched that movie many, many years ago, and it's not a kind of movie I would really bother to watch again, although it was great, but it's not necessarily something I do. But for some reason, I was compelled to watch Top Gun. And if you recall the movie, Maverick, he's the fighter pilot, and Goose is the co-pilot in the back. And they did their things, and at one point their plane got into trouble, and they had to get out of the cockpit really, really quickly. So they were ejected out, and as Goose got ejected out, he banged his head on the top. He didn't clear it properly. So when he got down, he actually was dead. So Maverick, that's Tom Cruise, he was just absolutely devastated because Goose had been his co-pilot for many, many, many assignments and many, many years. So then he was called to go out onto a real combat situation, a real war situation, and he refused. He said, I just can't do it. He had another co-pilot, but it wasn't Goose. And so he said, I'm sorry, but there's no way I can do it. I just can't. And then they were saying, you can, you're one of our top, if not our top fighter pilot, you can do it. You're in the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. And he's like, I can't do it. Anyway, you saw him holding this chain in his hand, and he's like, okay, I can call upon the energy of Goose, I can call him. So I'm watching this movie, and I'm thinking, and anyway, he was able to complete that assignment and successfully. And I thought to myself, wow, Goose is my Crystal. Goose, that's exactly what Crystal was to me. She in many ways was my courage and my ability to say, yes, do it, let's do it. And that's kind of a role she played in our friendship and in our work life. And I thought, wow, that's so interesting. So the very next morning, person that's down at the lodge came up and she brought a piece of art that we had, one of our wonderful youth, Jessie Flynn, who's an amazing artist, had drawn a picture of Crystal, and she took a picture, took it from a photograph. So this lady brought it up to me that morning, and what it was of Crystal went up in an aeroplane with one of our friends of Xenia, and he took her over Xenia, and she was the co-pilot. So she brought me this photograph the next day. Can you see that? Deanne, zoom right into it.
Yeah.
Crystal as the co-pilot on the plane. So when I saw that, I just about fell over. Like, whoa. And then the very next day, this all happened like within a week. The next day I had a friend of mine come over, and she does beautiful massages. Janie Patrick, she does the most amazing massages, but she's also psychic, and she really tunes in, incredibly psychic. She picks up things. So she was giving me a massage, and the first thing she said was, "Oh, Crystal's trying to get your attention." And I'm like, "Yeah, you don't say." And then what I got inside of myself, the message from Crystal was, I'm still your goose. And haven't you noticed, and I'm more effective this way, haven't you noticed? And right away I'm like, wow. And then I started to think about what was going on at the retreat center in that moment, and there was, Dale was working on the yurt roof, and Frank was putting in the baseboard heater in the studio, and Robin, the vet's daughter, was grooming the horses, and Deanne was doing something, and Noah was doing something. There was all this support here. And I really felt the energy of Crystal working with the people in the community to get things cleaned up and fixed and sorted out this last year. So it was like, I'm still your goose, and haven't you noticed how effective I am?